Greetings! Welcome to a rare evening video. Cool mountain air this evening. So I have my sweatshirt on. Yeah, usually I do this in the mornings. But it's all about inspiration. Got a neighbor over here who's she's a real good cook. Brought by some stuff for me to eat. But she's originally from Pennsylvania, and she was going on about how, we had to leave and moved over here, and now we're trying to start over again, and I got the lima beans are growing great, but, when we were in Pennsylvania, I had, beans on trellises and strawberries, and I had apple trees and blah, 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 she's going on and on and on. And I'm sitting there thinking and going, man, you know how many times I'm thinking, man, I don't know how many, because I've moved a lot. And I've been growing my own food for 50 years now. And so everywhere I've ever lived, it never mattered, I put in stuff everywhere. Even places when I didn't even have land, I managed to get a vacant lot or something. I was always planting stuff. But, I'm thinking about it and going, I turned to her and I said, I've done that so many times that I made a business out of it. But then I thought about what I just said. I said, my goodness, it's true. It's true. That I had planted gardens, designed orchards, planted plants in general so many times that I just finally said, well, I'll do this for a living. And so then I started doing it for everybody else. And so I like I said, I cannot even count how many times I established gardens and then walked away from them, never to be seen again. All of them, frankly, I don't want to see them again, is the real truth. Because the few times I have, I'm usually like, oh, what happened? Oh, yeah. So I didn't go back to look. Unless it was clients. In the Bay Area, I had the job a lot of times of maintaining things I designed. So there I did revisit and keep them up. But yeah, you started thinking about that. And I thought, man, it's true, and then, I went a little further into my thoughts, and, part of all that was because I moved around a lot as a young man, and I moved so often when I was younger that I actually went and bought myself a truck, just so I could move stuff. Well, when I had a truck, I suddenly realized, this is back in the day, too, by the way, where pickup trucks were not popular in the U.S. Farmers had them, contractors had them. The average American did not drive around in a pickup truck. And so, I was useful. And I ended up starting a moving and hauling company, small bit stuff, for if you bought a piano at a garage sale and for $200 and suddenly found out it was going to cost you $2,000 to move it, you'd call Bill and Randy and we'd move it for a couple $100, or something. But, yeah, so there you go. I moved so often, I opened a moving company. Yeah, the same thing with guitar, too. I just loved to play when I was younger. Man, I used to play 8 hours a day if I could manage it. Well, one thing led to another. I did it so many times, I made a business out of it. Yeah, for a long first half of my life, rock and roll bands were really made my money, I guess, or part of the money. Anyway, it's a business. It's never enough money around. Yeah. So I started thinking on that one and realized, I thought back, then there was my mom, who used to tell me, oh, Bill, money doesn't grow on trees, I figured I could disprove that one easy enough, and I went into farming. I said, Mom, you were wrong about that. These trees are worth a lot of money. Of course, these days you get a lot of these cannabis cultivators, all right? Now, talk about Money doesn't grow on trees. Baloney, right? Yeah. Yeah, there's plenty of money in some of the plants. Money does grow on trees. So I thought I'd pass this tidbit along because I found it a little bit humorous. For me, it was a little bit of an epiphany. You know, you're so close to the trees, you can't see the forest or whatever. That happens to me a lot. You know, I never realized that was how I got into the business of what I do. I just kept planting garden after garden after garden, and I never stopped. I haven't stopped yet. Oh yeah. So there's some value to that. Perhaps if I might pass along something here that makes any sense, if there's a moral to this story. Yeah, it's that most of my life as I worked as a nurseryman, for instance, oh boy, when I hear it, oh, gardening's so expensive, oh, gardening's so expensive. I hear this constantly, you know. I'd even hear it from my own household sometimes, depending on who was paying for what, you know. But, and I always go, well, wait a minute, there's something wrong here with this equation, because if it wasn't for gardens, I wouldn't have any money. Yeah! And so I'm going, wait a minute. So I set out to prove that that it wasn't that way. It was the other way around. That if you do gardening properly, what happens to you is you make money from it that will enrich you. And it's really true, because it's done that for me for years and years and years, and it was mostly because I set out to prove that that's what it was going to do. I refused to believe that it was a costly thing that was going to drag me down economically, you know. I just couldn't see it that way. Perhaps I grew up around a lot of people who'd, you know, been through the Depression, had been through food rationing, you know, and stuff, and definitely been victory gardeners. That was something that, you know, came out of World War II. They had to keep food to feed the soldiers, and so people grew a lot of their own stuff, and they were still doing it when I was born. You know, that growing plants should be economically enriching. Farmers don't make money if they can't make money off their crops. You know? The only reason that during depression periods and wars that people would plant potatoes is because they can't afford to buy them. Yeah, you know. So I kind of took that under my wing when I was a kid, you know, and I realized that, oh, well, this is economically, it's a plus. Growing things, growing food, should be a plus. Whatever you have to put into it to get it to start, you will always get way more back out of that. So I see, you know, sort of a mindset thing, and that's kind of what led me into, you know, actually working as a farmer, a grower, a nurseryman, horticulturalist, you know, landscape maintenance, and so on, because I figured that plants ought to be able to make me money. But I never realized from the get-go that it all got started just because I used to move around so much. I just kept planting gardens everywhere I went, and I ended up making a business out of it. I'll be darned. Hey, Luce. Aloha.